Hello and welcome back to your daily Italian lesson. We have seen in the first lessons a bit of things, some things, but today we are gonna go ahead and see more. So, first of all, I have already touched on the subject that there is genders for the nouns in Italian, so obviously masculine and feminine, and sometimes there are some exceptions of nouns that are the same as in the feminine as in the masculine, and although maybe they are identical, they still have a gender. So sometimes they are masculine and sometimes they are feminine. And how do we understand this? We do by the article that's used, and we're gonna see that as well, because that, it has gender. Even the article, so the English the is not the same for masculine and feminine, and also it changes in respect of the gender, but depending on the number as well. So if it's singular or plural, it changes. We don't just add an s like in English. We do something different that we are gonna see through these lessons, but let's get straight into it. So okay, the gender of the names, the nouns, il genere dei nomi. Okay, so usually, it's not a rule by any means, but usually, most of the time, di solito, that means usually, the nouns that end with O are masculine and they are singular. Also, I'm gonna tell you. When they end with A, instead, they are usually feminine and singular. When they end with E in English, E in Italian, usually they are plural and feminine, like we see here, but they could be the ones that I told you about that are neutral. Not all of the neutral ones, so the ones that are the same as for the feminine as the masculine, not all of them end with E, but some end with E, and they could be either masculine or feminine. So some are both, and some are just one of those genders. Make it make sense. I don't know. Let's start by giving some examples. So ending with O, we have here as examples il libro, so the book in Italian, il treno, the train, il gatto, the cat. And these are always gonna be masculine. They don't have a feminine version because they are just masculine things. How do we decide these type of things? I don't actually know, and it has been decided many years ago, so nobody really could tell you, or maybe someone that actually knows linguistics pretty well. But okay, going ahead, ending with a in Italian, obviously it's pronounced. We have la casa, so we have seen it already, this one. Do you remember what it is? Let me give you 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. La casa means home or house in Italian. In this case, the home, the house, because it has the article. Then we have la pizza. Obviously, it means the pizza. And pizzeria is feminine. House, home as well. And then macchina, la macchina. What do you think this means? Machine, maybe? Somewhat, because it could mean that as well, like la macchina per il caffè, the coffee maker, the coffee machine. But la macchina, just plain like this, usually refers to the car. So we call the car the machine in Italian, and it's feminine. Okay, so we have been through these ones. Okay, hopefully they make sense to you. Then we have ending with E. how it is pronounced in Italian? Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's pronounced like so, masculine or feminine, maschile o femminile, as for the gender. And some examples are il fiore, so the flower, and this one is masculine in Italian. And then we have la chiave. This one means the key, and it's feminine. Okay, so you have probably understood from this little tab here that il, it's used for masculine and singular nouns, and la, it's used for feminine and singular nouns. Take mental note of this. We are gonna get more into it later. We have then the plural. So we have seen the singular versions of nouns and their termination, terminazione in Italian. Then we have the plural, plurale. So the rule, let's say, even though it's not actually a rule, but in the majority of cases, this is what happens. When we have a masculine singular noun that, like we said, usually ends with O, in the plural is gonna end with I, pronounced in Italian. So libro, the example that we have seen before, so book, to become books, it's gonna be libri. And then we have a, so the termination for the feminine singular nouns, at least what they usually terminate with, the vowel that they usually have at the end, it becomes I in English, but pronounced in Italian So casa, like we have seen before, house or home in Italian, becomes case in the plural. This is very important because obviously if you want to make the plural, you need usually to follow this. And it's very, very, very common to forget at first how you create the plural of words or what they terminate with depending on the gender and number. So keep this in mind always. Then we have I, so the ones that we have seen before, like fiore, chiave, that end with I, in Italian, in the singular, they end with I in the plural. I pronounced in Italian. So, for example, fiore, that we have seen before, flower, to become flowers, it is fiori. Chiave, key, we have said. To become keys, we take away the and we put I. So chiavi, keys. Okay. Okay, the article we have said does need to go accordingly to the gender and number of the noun. And we have many articles in Italian. We don't just have the. So we could say it's the determined article. In Italian, articolo determinativo. And these are all the determined articles, determinative, however you want to call them. Il, lo, el with an apostrophe, la, I, gli, le. So these are the correspective of the in Italian. And then, obviously, there is the correspective of a and an, indetermined articles, indeterminativi. But okay, let's get into the determined articles, articoli determinativi first. So the ones that are the in English. We have, first of all, when we have a noun that's masculine and that starts with a consonant, we use il. So, for example, like we've seen before, il libro, the book, il cane, the dog. Okay. And then when they start with a consonant, they are masculine. Again, they start with a consonant, but that consonant is S. And after S comes another consonant, we use lo. And lo, it's used as well for the nouns that start with Z, and they are masculine, always masculine, in this case for lo, GN, and PS. It's not written down here, but actually even PN, X, and Y. There aren't many, that's why it's not written here, but it's important to know. So lo is used for all the masculine nouns that start with S plus a consonant, or Z, or GN, or PS, or PN, or X, or Y. Okay, so examples are lo studente, the student, lo zaino, the backpack. Okay, then we have L with an apostrophe. So usually when there is an apostrophe in Italian, it's a troncamento. That means that it's a word that has been divided, we could say. So it's like lo without the O, L with an apostrophe. We could say, obviously, take it with a grain of salt. Don't tell your teacher ever a thing like this, but L with an apostrophe, so it's used for both masculine and feminine nouns that start with a vowel. So when there is this apostrophe here, even in other words that now don't come to my mind actually, un with an apostrophe, for example, as well. After them, it usually comes something with a vowel, starting with a vowel, not at all something that starts with a consonant. So L with an apostrophe, we use it for masculine and feminine nouns that start with a vowel. Examples, l'amico, and it's pronounced like it's part of the word. So don't take too much notice of this apostrophe in the pronunciation. You don't need to do a pause or anything like that. You need to pronounce it l'amico, like it's all one word. And it means the friend, the masculine friend, if you remember, because O is usually the desinence of the masculine singular nouns. Then we have l'amica. This one is the female friend, l'amica, because it ends with A. So like I said, there are some examples of nouns that can end both in O or A, depending on the gender, because they can be both masculine and feminine. Yeah, obviously you could have a female friend or a male friend. Okay, then we have la. This other article is for feminine nouns, singular as well. We have seen only singulars for now. And they start with a consonant. So the same as il, basically, but for feminine nouns, la. Examples are, like we have seen, la casa, the house, the home, or la penna. This one is very similar to the English language. Guess what that is? Yeah, it is the pen. La penna, the pen. And penna is feminine. Then we have I as an article, written as just I, like this. And it's the plural of il, we could say, because it is for masculine nouns that start with a consonant, but that are plural. So for example, like we have seen before, il libro becomes i libri, il cane becomes i cani. So instead of book, books, instead of dog, dogs. The book, the books, the dog, the dogs. Okay, then we have gli. This one instead is the plural of both lo and L with an apostrophe. So keeping this in mind, what does that mean? So if I was the plural of il, and so we use the same rule as for il, but with plural nouns, the same goes for gli. So the nouns that we would have used lo with in the singular, in the plural we use gli. Same for L with an apostrophe. So it's used for those nouns that are plural masculine and they start either with a vowel or with S plus a consonant, Z, G, N, P, S, P, N, X, Y, and Z. I don't know if I said that already. But yeah, so examples, like we've seen, lo studente, the student, becomes gli studenti, the students. Then example with L with an apostrophe, l'amico becomes gli amici. So instead of the friend, the friends, gli amici. And is there a correspective for amica in the plural? Yes, but we wouldn't use gli. We will use le, like it's written here. Why is that? Because L with an apostrophe is used both for masculine and for feminine nouns, gli just for masculine, and le just for feminine nouns. So, le, it's, we could say, the plural of la, and the plural of L with an apostrophe when it's used for the feminine, not the masculine, obviously. So, le case, the houses, the homes. Le amiche, the female friends. Le amiche is female friends. We use here this H to keep the K sound because, I don't know if you remember from the last lesson, but if we took away this H here, it would be pronounced differently. It would be pronounced as ch, so amiche. That doesn't sound right to an Italian ear, so we have put here this H, so it maintains that K sound. Okay. Then we have undetermined articles, indeterminativi. So A and N in English. In Italian they are un, uno, una, e un with an apostrophe. So just 4 instead of the 7 options that we had for undetermined articles. And un, it's the same as for il, the rule. So when a noun is masculine and with a consonant and we want to say a book, for example, we use un. Okay? Then uno is like lo, same rule. So we use it for S plus a consonant when it's masculine and singular, obviously. Z, G, N, P, S, P, N, X, Y, and Z. Okay, and una, it's the same as for la, the rule. So when it's feminine, singular, the noun, and starts with a consonant, we use una. And we use un with an apostrophe for when we have a noun that's feminine, so just feminine nouns, different in this case from the L with an apostrophe. This L with an apostrophe was both for masculine and feminine, and they start with a vowel, nouns that are singular. Un with an apostrophe is just for nouns that are singular and feminine and start with a vowel, like un'amica. And you pronounce it like it's all one word. Same as before, no pause in between. Okay. Then we have one very important thing. So, the verb to be in Italian, il verbo essere. So, essere is to be. We have seen in the last lesson, io sono, I am, to say you are. Il verbo essere, so the verb to be, is irregular in Italian, so it doesn't follow a precise rule. You just have to memorize it. And so here it is, io sono, I am, to say you are, lui, he, lei, she, è, is, so he, she is, lui, lei, è. Noi siamo, we are, voi siete, you are, loro sono, they are. Okay. Then we have the verb to have in Italian, il verbo avere. One thing that is important, since in various persons that the verb is conjugated in the present simple, it does have this H that is only graphic because you don't need to pronounce it, it's just muted, muta. So instead of saying io ho, we don't say that, we say io ho. I have. Tu hai. You have. Lui, lei ha. He, she has. Noi abbiamo. We have. Voi avete. You have. Loro hanno. They have. Okay, and then the expressions that usually in English are with the verb to be. So like, for example, I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, I'm hot, I'm cold, I'm sleepy, I'm 20 years old, I'm right. These expressions that in English use the verb to be, in Italian they use the verb to have. And the correspective is ho fame for I'm hungry, ho sete for I'm thirsty, ho caldo, I'm hot, ho freddo, I'm cold, ho sonno, I'm sleepy, ho 20 anni, I'm 20 years old, could be any number really, here, ho ragione, I'm right. So just know that to use these expressions, in Italian we use the verb to have. Okay. Obviously these were examples in the first person singular, but they could be in any other person. It's the same, obviously. Okay. Then we have some objects of everyday. Oggetti di ogni giorno. So objects of the day-to-day. Of ogni is like each in English, but in this case it's like of every day. Okay, then we have seen some of these ones already, like il libro, the book, la penna, the pen, lo zaino, the backpack, il telefono, the phone, la chiave, the key, l'acqua, the water, il caffè, the coffee, la macchina, the car. Always try and repeat after me, by the way. I didn't say this, but always keep this in mind. When I pronounce some words in Italian, keep on shadowing me. Il cane, the dog, il gatto, the cat, la casa, the house, home, l'amico, the male friend, remember, l'amica, remember, the female friend. Okay. And yeah, for today we are done. Hopefully it's less long than the first lesson, because I noticed it came out very, very long. Must be annoying to watch something this long. But see you next time.